Alright, hello everyone, this is Josh, also known as Yashu. We're just down for another interview for the Lens of Yashu, and I have a remarkable guest right here today. He's a singer-songwriter and artist born in Trinidad, but mainly raised in Barbados and residing in Toronto. We have Shane Free. How are you doing today, man?
Great, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. I've been tapping with your music for a bit too. When I first heard about you, I think it was back in 2019ish, and I used to follow this guy named Wiz the MC, who's now a very popular artist. He co-signed one of your songs, I think, too, and I think I was digging in for the crates years later, and then was tapping in for the music, and I just kind of enjoyed it from there too. It was a different feeling in a sense, so.
Yo, I appreciate that, bro. So you tune in and check some of the tunes, eh?
Yeah, likewise, man. And so how did that connection come about by any chance?
With Wiz?
Yeah.
I actually met Wiz at a camp. This camp called CMC Camp. So yeah, I met him up there, and that was a pretty cool experience. I was just up there camping, doing some crazy shit, and he was there, and that was the first time I met him. And yeah, that's how I met Wiz.
Wow.
And then we built our relationship from there, to be honest.
Yeah, for sure.
And I kind of I went around and watched him perform, some places where he did it, and yeah.
And even seeing him become very big, now with one of the big songs on TikTok, to being performing all over the world and all that. How did you feel in a sense?
How did I feel it?
Yeah.
I thought it was great. I was so happy for him. Seriously, because when I met him at camp, I could tell that he was very determined and very into what he was doing. So I when I saw it happening, I just followed him on social media. Obviously after we met and stuff. And I just saw him getting better and better and better, and I was like, yo, that's so dope. My boy Wiz there, that's sick. He's growing and doing great, Yeah, and I hope he keeps going.
Likewise, man, likewise. I know this is your story for the very first time too, and you have done some other interviews too in the past too, but I want to get into your life story for a bit too.
Yeah.
So growing up in Trinidad and in Barbados, what was the environment for you growing up, and would you say it was a blessed experience, or was it very different?
All right, well, the first thing, let me see. Trinidad, my mom took me from there very young, like a baby. So in a sense, I didn't even really get to learn Trinidad. That's the truth. I was just born on the soil, and then my mom take me straight from there as a kid to Barbados. My dad is a Barbadian, my mom is a Trini. So, I got an Bajan passport, but I born in Trinidad. And I was raised in the island. Well, let's just say Barbados, that island. And for me, let me see how I remember Barbados. I mean, under my mom's care, because as a kid. I mean, Barbados is a beautiful place, but in my home, I was experiencing a lot of fighting when I was a kid, to be honest. My mom and my dad was fighting a lot, and that's just how it was for me in the beginning as a kid in Barbados. And that's kind of how I remember that as a kid, so... Yeah.
No, I know what you mean, man. But I know Barbados, they do have an interesting music scene there. I mean, Rihanna being one of the most popular famous artists coming from that country, and then you have I think other people I think Alison Hines is also from that country as well too.
Yeah.
So even in Barbados, I know Trinidad, they have a lot of well-known soca artists, but knowing that you haven't grown up in Trinidad like that, let's talk Barbados. So was it a big country at the time for music too, in terms of it being the potential spot for the industry to check out artists in there, or was it just as a community kind of growing up?
To me, it wasn't. It wasn't big for art. No, that's the honest truth. It was not. I would say the biggest thing that was there was calypso music. But me, when I raised up as an artist in Barbados, it was more community. It was more who I met and what we did. To me, we who really started to shape the industry in Barbados, in my opinion. I mean, and a couple other people too. I can't just take, I'm not trying to take all the thing for that. It's not just me. But me and a few other people, were doing hip-hop and this kind of music. So yeah, I would say it was difficult. It was new to Barbados, in my opinion. People was just more embracive with the calypso thing. yeah, that's what I could say about that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. And I know that your father, like I was like reading through the website too, he is like a well-known like Bayesian musician who has had like some popularity like with music before in the past.
Yeah.
So what was that life like compared to other childhood friends who weren't immersed like in that lifestyle? Would you say that there were like sacrifices or changes he had to like live during that fame too, or like that time? Or was it like totally different? Like you had like a normal childhood, like sort of growing up from there?
All right. Well, the thing is, my dad wasn't around that much, straight up, because my mom and my dad was fighting so much. Like, so I only used to see my dad occasionally. And as a kid, like, I don't even ever remember, like, I never jammed with my dad. He never even really introduced it to me. I never had that chance. My dad never ever sat down with me and was like, yo, check this scale, or let's sing this song. So the way that I saw it was like, I remember my mom sometimes would call me and be like, Shane, come and see your dad on the television right now. And then I would like, I would go and see, and I'd be like, oh, that's my dad on the TV, they're singing, like, what the hell? Let me see what else. Oh, right, and I remember too, like when I got older, and I was living with my grandmom at some point, my dad's mom, I remember like when I would go outside with my boy and run around and go and play arcade games and shit, like sometimes people would just come up to me and be like, wait, you're Mickey's son? And I would be like, yeah, how you know that? He'd be like, you're the splitting image of your father. Yo, let me tell you about your dad. You know your dad sold out this place. And you ever hear your dad sing this song? Oh my God, your dad was like incredible. And then I'll be like, whoa, really? Wow, that's so cool. So that's kind of how I got to learn about him, to be honest. My mom showing me him on TV and obviously telling me about him. And people coming to me and telling me these stories. And I would be like, whoa, this is so cool. So that's how that was my experience from that perspective.
Sure, too. So, like, I know, like, in certain situations, too, like, when, children, like, who have, like, famous parents, like, they don't tend to see it from that side, too, so, like, they tend to look at, like, other, like, influences, too, so, like, who were, like, those, like, other influences that made you, like, get into music, too, and, like, the artists or genres that, like, you kind of, like, listen to?
Right, let me see. So, for me, as an artist, I have to say, I definitely was a very open-minded artist, because first of all, I started on piano. That was my first introduction to music. And yeah, I first started on piano. So I just feel like I kept a very open mind with music, and I listened to like, coming from the Caribbean, I do remember listening to a lot of Caribbean music and a lot of North American music. Like, of course, I listened to Michael Jackson back in the day, Bob Marley, Garnet Silk, Junior Reid, but I kept a very open mind. To be quite honest, I listened to a lot of instrumental music because I played an instrument, and I so yeah, that's kind of like a lot of people I listened to back in the day, and I mean obviously local too. I listened to like Rupee, Alison Hines, that kind of stuff.
Oh, sure. And like like around like that era too, like I know because like dancehall and reggae and like soca like were starting to like blow up from like the rise of like Sean Paul, from the rise of like Rupee and like Supercat and like everything else too. Like, how did you feel about like that wave coming to like the international scene too, with everyone like tapping into like those like genres like in a country like yours and all that?
I mean, like you said, yeah, like I was always hearing that kind of stuff. There, it's true. The radio would definitely be playing a lot of like, Jamaican music, dancehall music, obviously Bajan calypso music, anything, and yeah.
For sure, man. And what made you decide on like wanting to become like a musician and artist like in a sense?
Let me see. What really made me? I feel like it started at high school for me, real thing. Because like I said, I didn't have my dad there really jamming out with me and guiding me and being a mentor. I didn't really have that. I felt like I had the piano first. That was the first outlet. Because I do remember my mom saying, Shane, I sent you to piano lessons when he was like 3 years old because I realized you was playing things on the, like you were matching the tone on the piano or what you was hearing on the TV. And I was like, you know what? Shane needs to go to piano lessons. So she basically, sent me to piano lessons, and that's where it started for me mainly with that, with that piano. And let me see. Because I didn't have my dad to mentor me. But then at high school now, I remember coming across a cipher one day. I didn't even know what that was. I saw this guy rapping and this guy doing a beatbox. And I swear, when I first saw that, I was exposed to that. That just touched me so deeply. Like, I don't know why. It just made me feel a certain way. I was like, whoa, this is incredible. As soon as I started seeing that, like, I just started writing rhymes. Like, immediately. It just came to me, you know? I just remember being in class sometimes and just, like, jotting down my feelings and stuff that was coming to me because that was just so inspiring what I just witnessed there. You know?
Yeah.
So I would say that's how I kick off there from high school in a sense. And then let me see. Like, those same people that I saw, like, you know, I pursued them for a while in a way because he was the only person I knew that had a studio. And I was like, yo, I just want, can I get in a studio and record and see what this would be like? And finally I did. You know, those boys actually were finishing an album at the time. And they put me on their album. I got on the last song. It was called Flows Till Dawn. And then that's kind of how it got me in, how I got in. And I remember recording my first song, which was called Sharp Style. And I could have been like 15 years old. And that song actually got on the radio, yo. Like, real talk. And I used to, like, play it every day. The DJ, he just really liked it. In his shift, I played this song like 5 times every day in his shift. And I was like, whoa, like, because he really liked this song, right? And I went on charts as well in Barbados. I think I was like number 21 or 22 on Bajan charts with that song. So, yeah, that's kind of how that went.
Oh, sure, man. And like even like being like on the charts and like being on the radio too. Like I know there's like a lot of residuals like when it comes to like songs being played at the time too. So like you might have like received like those like checks from that too. But how did you feel about like even like getting that fame and like noticing like those like people like around and all that? You know,
that was so fun to me. I have to say, like real talk, because I was literally like, first of all, I did my business right, and I feel very proud of that. Like, I already have Protect My Music on the radio, and I was getting royalty checks in the mail. I was like, you know, teenager, and I would be like, wow, this is so cool. Like, they made me royalty checks because my song's playing on the radio. And I just remember, like, going to high school, my boys would be like, yo, Shane, I heard your song yesterday, boy. They play your song so much. And I would be like, I would just feel proud. I would feel good, you know? But yeah, I mean, obviously, when I get to my head either, to be quite honest. I just felt proud. I just felt good. Yeah.
Yeah, likewise, man. And I mean, to get more onto like your influences like too and all that, who would you say would be like the artists or genres that you're mainly influenced by with your music now, and like who would you like to work with someday and all that?
Let me see. Again, because I keep such an open mind with music, my influences right now I would have to say is like, you know, I love Drake. I love Kendrick Lamar. I love J. Cole. I love Russ. I want to do a song with Russ. I really want to do a song with Russ. I love Rihanna. You know, I love Taylor Swift. Straight up, I love Taylor Swift. Wiz Khalifa. And then obviously I influenced by the OGs too. Jay-Z, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, 50 Cent. Like, those guys inspire me a lot too, straight up. So yeah, I would say that's like, am I missing anybody? No, I'm trying to think. I think that's some of my biggest influences now, you know?
Yeah, no, likewise. And it's interesting to hear about like Drake and Kendrick too, because they're still going like through like that like little like beef into. So yeah. How do you feel about that? You know?
Oh my gosh, that beef. That's like, man, I don't even know what to say on that, bro. I can keep it real. I don't know what to say on that. I wish them the best with it.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, you know how it's get with hip hop too. Yeah. It just be sparring.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Them boys just out there sparring to incredible artists, and like I just wish them the best and just keep it music, you know.
Yeah, likewise.
Keep it music.
And like Russ too, which is like pretty interesting too, because I know he's actually performing in Toronto. I think sometime later on this week too. So
Russ.
Yeah. Are you actually gonna check out that show tonight, or like?
Yep. Yo, I am thinking about it. Straight up. Yeah. If they got any tickets left, I definitely might go and check this out because I've never seen Russ perform live. So I would love to see like what's the energy he's bringing to the stage and what it's like, you know?
Yeah. Like I know like he's like doing arenas right now. He's actually performing at the Scotiabank Arena sometime this week too. So like usually his arena shows like get packed out and like they do numbers. So
damn. That's crazy for independent artists. I kind of aspire to be that way.
Likewise, man.
I really do.
Likewise, bro.
Yeah, so big up to Russ for real.
Likewise, man. And like you were like in a crew called like the Baytown Crew. So how did that form, and how was it like like even like from a music group and like releasing music from them?
That group, Baytown Crew, was formed. Let me see. I formed that group because there was this lady who approached me from England once. I remember I was performing on stage with Tony Norville in Barbados. She's a big deal in Barbados too. I was on her album. She's like an R&B artist. I was on her album. I think it was called Caribbean Soul. And I was performing that night. It was a big night. She was like, Shane, I need you to come through and perform the tune. And back then my name was Blade. And, so I went and I did the tune. And I remember this lady approached me after and she was like, oh my God, I really love what you're doing here. I got a music company and I'm looking for like artists I want to work with and I'm actually interested in working with you. And I was like, all right, and then I just basically bring her to my crew and I was like, look, let's just start this band here. I got my peoples. Let's start a band. And we started a band and then we just toured Europe. Straight up, we made a project, we made a whole record, and then we went and toured Europe.
Oh, sure.
With her. And it was an independent company, but still. It was a really cool experience, I have to say.
Yeah, especially like the United Kingdom and Europe too, because I know like just like touring like all over the world, it has like an interesting feel to going to different places, doing meet and greets, performing live, getting to know the entire experience too. So how was that impact like, performing on the road and all that?
Man, that was such a cool experience because that was the first time I did that. It was tough, to be honest, as well. Even though it was music and it's my love, it was still challenging because me coming from the island, going to England, is a completely different weather, different feeling, different lifestyle. Because when you're out in Barbados, your life is outside a lot. And then when I get out to England, I'm like, whoa, I gotta run from house to house or indoor to indoor because it's so cold and yeah. So the whole culture from that angle was different, which I still enjoyed it and I grew accustomed to it. And it was real cool too because I was like living my dream, performing music on the road. And I wasn't even really like big in England and I was signing autographs like after every show. And people was really receiving the music good, And when I was there too, I remember going on Channel 4 at that time, which was really cool too. This TV show. Like I did stuff like that. I remember we shot a music video too. Danielle Brent was in the music video. And she was like a movie star back then too. She was playing I think she had some role in the jail or something. She was a lesbian or whatever. But she was in my video. So those are the kind of things I experienced when I was over there. And it was mad fun.
Sure, man.
And I toured all England. I went everywhere.
Yeah, like Scotland, like Wales, like all those places.
Yeah. Yep. I went all over.
Yeah. And I know for touring and all that too, there's a lot of do's and don'ts within the whole touring experience too. I know one of them's don't shit in the bus and stuff like that too, and always get in and get out and all that too. So what would be your do's and don'ts on the road and all that too, for touring?
For touring, one thing I experienced when I was there that for sure really showed me because we were touring so much, sometimes we had to eat fast food. And I realized I just didn't like that. Honestly, that's a don't do in my opinion. So from doing that and experiencing it, I had to tell her listen, I can't eat this all the time. Because I was raised a vegan, first of all. I'm not a vegan anymore. I'm not, but that's when my parents raised me to eat well and you know what I mean? So that's one thing I would say don't do. Don't eat too much of that. Make sure you eat good food when you're on the road and take care of yourself because we don't realize that food is medicine. It's really how we have mental power, your physical power, all that kind of stuff. And you can't get carried away too much with the girls either. You gotta stay focused. Yeah. That's two things I could say.
Sure.
Yeah. And the do's, I guess, stay focused. Stay focused. Have a goal. Make sure you know what you want to do and what you want to accomplish, and you should be good.
Yeah, likewise, man. And you moved to Toronto later on in your life too, which you're currently residing right now and all that too. So when you moved here, what was that transition from moving from one country to another and just experiencing the different norms, cultures, and all that type of stuff?
Let me see. Moving here now, Toronto, definitely. I'm trying to remember because it was so much. Let me see. I really loved Toronto from the very get-go, I have to say. First time I came here, because I got family here too. And my cousin is who really was like, yo, Shane, because after that deal in Europe, when I left that, my cousin was just like, yo, well, you don't come to Toronto and see what the music scene is like, Right. So I was really like into Toronto from the beginning. I mean, and once again, you do have to adjust coming from the Caribbean because it is different with going through the seasons, And I just thought Toronto was a real beautiful place, in my opinion, in terms of beautiful people. I thought people were very polite and nice, and the place is so clean and has such a good vibe. And yeah, I mean, that's what I can say about Toronto right now. I mean, did I miss anything? Sorry.
No, I think you're all good. I guess like even like with Toronto, like there's like a lot of like interesting like factors too, like with the food, with like how, because usually with countries like Barbados and like the UK and Trinidad, like they're kind of similar to like with the UK and Toronto too, because the whole like Commonwealth system too.
Correct.
So like I guess like there are like some similarities and like certain like differences like as well too and all that.
I guess that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
True. Yeah. But yeah, I just love Toronto too because I really find like people here love music. That's just how I see it. Even sometimes my friends would be like, man, you need to go to America, da 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 da. I keep hearing this, I'm like, man, I don't agree. I think people in Toronto really like art. And that's how I feel as a Bajan in Toronto. I feel like anytime I play music here, people is really be like loving art and being like, yo, and showing interest, in my opinion. Yeah? So that's one thing I like about Toronto as well, too.
Yeah, for sure. And getting more onto like the music right now, like what would be like your creative process like when working on music and like what like a day and like making music or like being in the studio would be like for you?
For me, like I got creative processes. You definitely got many, because I could pick up my guitar right now and just come up with a progression and come up with lyrics and start singing in whatever cases. But it's like right now how I like to do it. I like to make a beat first and then put down melodies. I just like to go in, put on my headphones, and just start singing, not even saying words, just going melodically. Like, what is the melodic story on this beat right now? So I'm putting on my melodies, and then I'm like, wow, that's a dope melodic story with no words. Now let me think, what does this song want to be? What is the topic, And then I will start to put words with it. And then after that, record. And and sometimes I write alone. Sometimes, since I move here, I like to collaborate with people now too. It's just make it more fun. Because that's how I started. I really started collaborating first. But since I moved here, I find I do a lot more on my own. So recently I started writing with a friend again. And I find that's so cool.
Oh, sure.
So, yeah.
And like, even like immersing on the Toronto music scene too, because there are like a lot of people like in the city and from like other parts of the world that like move here that do make music too. So how is like even like immersing with those people and like trying your best to like collaborate from there?
Let me see. Oh yeah, this city for sure I agree. It is a melting pot of culture. I love that. I love how multicultural it is. And I find too that they got a lot of dope artists here. Oh my god, people are so talented here. It's crazy. All the artists I linked to it so far, and producers, instrumentalists, oh my god, I love them. I love them all. And very inspiring, and I love being around them. And I love seeing all the different styles. And I also realized too, they got a lot of Caribbean influence here as well. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I think Toronto is dope, and the artists here are dope and super talented.
Likewise, man. And getting onto other projects too, because like I was like listening to projects like Coming Over, Moving Forward, and like Still Wild, which is like kind of more of your like recent projects. So, what were like the creative processes and inspirations for those ones?
All right. You said Still Wild and Moving Forward. Oh yeah, Moving Forward was like I did that project with these boys from Montreal. Because the first time I actually came to Toronto, I got a demo deal at Warner Brothers, straight up. Well, actually, no. Before that, I met a guy, a producer, Tom Mackay, who wanted to work with me. I made a record with him. We went to Barbados. We made it. We came back. And then I kind of met Ron Lapata, who was the head A&R at Warner Brothers. And he basically, he gave me a deal. But not like, I wasn't signed to the label. It was just like a demo deal. Basically, I met some producers through him who was in Montreal, and that's how I made Moving Forward with those boys. And those boys were sick, and you know. So that was an amazing experience. I love them so much. I was very special making that with them. I made some of that in Montreal. I made some of it here, and they produced that. But like, you know, I produced it with them too, because I always produce. Like, I play the guitars. I come up with all the progressions before they even start. I come and be like, yo, I got this progression. Make a beat around it now. And then, you know.
Yeah.
So that's how I made Moving Forward with them. Funny enough, I took that picture in Barbados too, because I was moving around so much. I made that in Montreal and here. And then I did it with a photographer in Barbados, one of my boys from school. But yeah, that project was made here, and that was just like epic to me. I loved that project so much. Still Wild was like, whoa, I made that one all alone. Because like, you know, I got blocked. Like okay, let me make this clear. Moving Forward, that record was really supposed to be released in a label in America, you know, because moving from Ron Lapada, I kind of like shift that, because I was like, I don't know, I met some other people in America and they really liked what I was doing. And it was Mark Pitts, the president of RCA Records. Like, when he heard the records, he flew me there. He wanted to meet me. He flew me there for a day. So I went and I met him. And I was going to do work with them. Real talk. I was signed to a company over there once again. And as I was going back into America, like, I got blocked at the border straight up. And I lost that contract and that whole opportunity. So then I just decided to put it out on my own. So, yeah, that's how that went. So then, after Moving Forward and all of that happened, you know, I'm making these stories real short, even though they're way longer. Like, you know, I went through a little depression and stuff, seriously, because I was like, wow, I even stopped doing music for a little. I was like, because I wasn't even meeting any producers that I felt chemistry with anymore. No disrespect to anyone, it's just the truth. And then I was like, man, maybe I should just start producing, like, actually hands-on by myself. And then that's how I made Stillwell. And that's how I'm so proud of Stillwell. I kind of made that through the pandemic and taught myself how to produce. So that was like, I was very proud of making that on my own. And that's how I got Stillwell.
Yeah, no, it's an amazing story to hear. Like, you know, from like a little like trial and like tribulation to making it into something happening. And, you know, usually like those setbacks that make it more like comebacks in a way too. So it is like amazing to hear and all that too.
Yeah.
And like America, like I definitely understand too, because like Canada and like other parts of the world have a history of like trying to make it to America too, like the same thing forward. It's like, you know, you try to go to that border, like you try to explain your situation too, and like it never like works out, and then they send you back too. So yeah, it's like kind of like that little like rat in the pit right there, you know.
Oh my God. And it took me so long to like, it really did. It took me a while to get over that. That hurt. Because they were like, because you see what's the thing is, I didn't have a working visa, but I wasn't working. I didn't do anything wrong. Like, straight up, I didn't. I think that woman was just at the border, was just play hating. Because even the company I was working with, I was like, because I wasn't being paid as yet.
Yeah. So
I wasn't working. You know what I'm saying? I was just being shopped to labels. And I think she was just trying to be a bitch and block me. And that's what she did. And whatever. It's definitely a blessing in disguise, but I didn't feel that at that time.
Yeah. Nah, I know what you mean, man. Nah, like, it is amazing to see, like, even with that situation, you still managed to, like, come through, and then, you know, you were, like, releasing music in 2022, and then 2023, too.
Yeah.
And, like, even with 2023, like, you have a couple of your songs, too, Realize and Spend the Night, which you did with, like, Tony Sid. So, like, how did that come about, and, like, what was, like, the inspiration for those tracks?
For Tony Sid, no, that was... He basically reached out to me as well, because even after Stillwell, I put out a next project after that too. I was dropping other singles, like I guess I was calling that the Off-White album, because that's the color I used on the front, and I did like, I wrote all those things with that's my handwriting on that project. So I guess Tony Sid, like he approached me social media. He was like, yo, I've been listening to your stuff. I just discovered you. Like, I discovered you from TikTok, and, like, you're fucking dope, and I really like what you're doing, and can we do a song? And I was like, okay, let me see what you're working with, you know, let me hear your stuff. And I liked him, too. So then I just produced the record, put on our shit, sent it to him, and then he just did his verse, and I was like, bam, history. And then the other record, he was like, yo, Shane, I want you to come on one of my records now. So he made that other record, Spend the Night. He put on his vocals, did his thing, sent it to me. I did my verse, sent it back to him. Bam.
Likewise, man.
So that's how that happened with that one. Yeah. I mean, I feel like my story, I got so much in there, just trying to like tell you, but I don't want to mix the people up too much either, but yeah.
But like, I mean, with everything that has like happened in your life too, from like the start, like having like a musical like family like in your background and all that too, to having like that first song at the age of like 15 that blew up, to touring all over like Europe like with your group and all that, to like even like meeting people from like Warner Brothers and like RCA too. Did you feel like you've grown as like an artist so far from like the start until like now in that sense?
Oh man, I really do. Hell yes. Because when I go right back to the beginning, I was literally just penning and singing them tunes. But now I do everything. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a producer. Even though I was a producer back then, I didn't realize I was a producer back then because I was still making the last call. Even though I wasn't literally making that beat, like that producer, I would still be like, oh, can you change this or can you do this? And we should do it like this. But I feel real proud of myself because I got, so much things that I could do. Like when I first started, I wasn't playing guitar. I taught myself guitar, self-taught. And even my friends around me, they'd be like, whoa, B, like, damn, that's so cool to see how you just learned to play this guitar. Anyway, so yeah, I pick up guitar. And I miss a piece of that in my story too. I don't want to be confusing, but like in Barbados, like I do remember when I just said to myself, yo, I want to be a better guitarist. And I went and I joined bands and I was just a guitarist just because I wanted to shred. And yeah, so I'm proud of my guitar playing. I am a better writer now. I just record my own self. I'm a recording engineer. I just produce my own records. I'm a producer. I'm a performer. I think I'm a better performer. I think I improve like all around the board, straight up. And I'm super proud of that.
Yeah, no, it's amazing to see, man, and like hopefully we do get to see like more of that progression coming soon. Like I remember you like even told me that you were like performing at events and all that too. So how's it like like even like performing like all over the city and like getting to tap in like with different audiences from there and all that?
Yeah, like in this city, right? Yeah. I definitely perform enough places here, and I mean, man, it's great. Every time I perform, I gain followers and I meet people that are really like into the music. And, they go to my website and buy it too. And I feel real good about that. And I just want to keep building up my fan base here. Just like really focusing on that and building it. And, I tried busking sometimes too in the very beginning. Before I even started to like do certain things. Just because I really wanted to go out there and feel the real raw thing. You know what I mean? And like, oh my gosh, I met so much cool people just from doing that as well. And, I would say that to artists too. Do not underestimate. You literally could just go outside this door and perform on the streets. You can't look down at that. That's a big deal. That's the world right there. Like, that's such a big thing to me. Like, we don't do that in Barbados. But the fact that I could go and get a permit if I desire, I'm not saying, I have to do that. But I still encourage people to do that though. Because you could build a lot of fans like that as well while you're actually doing legit shows too. So yeah, everywhere I perform out here, it has been great so far, I have to say. And I had a show the other night too. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, that's pretty dope, man. And like even from that, like usually you get to see like more of like the Toronto Canadian like music scene for a bit too. So from like analyzing it from your like standpoint, how do you like feel about that like in the moment? And do you feel like there's any changes that there should be any changes on how the scene should progress, or do you feel like it's like fine the way it is?
I personally feel like I was saying, I really feel like it is fine the way it is, and I don't feel that artists need to go running to America. I feel that Toronto love fucking music. And they got music fans out here. And I feel that we just need to stay focused as artists and keep performing as much as possible, keep making lots of music, keep putting it out, and it's great here. That's what I think. Straight up. I don't feel much needs to change, me personally.
Yeah, no, that's facts. Like, no, I definitely agree too. Like, I feel like we do have like a great like infrastructure, like in a sense too, in terms of labels and in terms of like people like helping out with the DIY communities and with these like events like popping up here and there too. Like, there's also going to be some flaws too, but then like the strengths are always going to like outweigh like those like flaws like either way too. So
Definitely. I'm trying to think of any cons, but I can't right now. Yeah, that's the only con. Just thinking that you need to go to America. I don't think so.
no, I don't think so too. We just have like these like final questions too, but like you don't have like any regrets or like do you have some regrets like in a sense too?
I mean, if I had a regret, if I have to choose a regret, I would say I do regret when that lady blocked me at the border. Because seriously, I was literally going to put out a project and who knows, I was probably about to go and blow up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it didn't work out that way. And you know, I went through a stage when that happened. And I actually after that, you know, I was depressed and took a break from music and I met my wife. And that was amazing to me too. So, like, you know, it's always be a blessing in disguise. There's no such thing as a bad thing, is my motto. And think about it too. Those people I was going to get in a deal with, they actually, in my contract, when I read it, they wanted to own my name that my mom gave me. I'm serious. So, think about that, you know. So I personally feel maybe it's good that I got blocked and now I own all the fucking rights and I'm the shit and I'm about to blow the fuck up.
Yeah, doing it better like independently is like always like the way and all that too. So
say that again.
Doing it better like independently is like always like the way too. So
exactly. And now I own all my master. I own everything. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Protecting the bag at all costs, you know. So yeah, definitely
Correct.
understand that.
Correct.
You know, like there's like a lot of people that do tend to tap in with like music like from all over the world, whether it will be someone from the United States or from the UK or even like right here and all that too. So for that person that like wants to like tap in with you or to like know more about you or they don't know about you but like they would like to know more, like what would be like free songs that you would recommend them that you would tell them to like check out like in a sense?
For me right now I would say check Realize, you know, because that's one of my latest songs as well. Check Not a Problem. Oh man, what's the next one there? Yo, you could even check Top Shotter. And go and check Nobody Knows as well from moving forward. And go through my whole catalog, but you can check those 4.
Yeah, for sure. Like the reason why I say free is that like I have like a Spotify playlist that you know allows people to check out like you know people who have interviewed or people who have had like before in the past or even just like recommended like artists too. So like usually when they do check in like those like playlists, you know they get to know like artists like a little bit more, even with like certain artists that they may be like familiar with too. So like I could have like an artist like Drake or Kendrick on the playlist, but then I could also have another like rising independent artist like on that playlist too that might have like maybe like 1,000 like monthly like listeners too. So it kind of gives like that benefit for people to check out like the sense too.
That's dope. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Oh wait, you gotta check out West Indies as well. Sorry, it's like I got so much songs, but no, you gotta check West Indies too.
Yeah, definitely check out those songs and all that, you know. And so as far as like this year goes, like what do you have coming up like next right now for this year? And do you have any like closing remarks you'd like to say?
I would like to say that, you know, definitely, like, I'm about to drop. I got so much music for y'all, straight up. Yeah, and I would just say, you know, guys, bless the moment, trust yourself, expect the best. That's my motto. And look out for Shane Free.
Yeah, definitely tap in with Shane Free, guys. You know, dope artists. Talented rising artist like in the city too, like check out his like music too, and you know Shane was like a pleasure like having you, man. Like
thank you.
We'll definitely have like these like conversations next time too. And this is another interview from Josh, also known as Yashu for the Lens of Yashu. You can check it out on the YouTube channel. You can check out the podcast on all platforms, and you can check out like everything else too within the link tree, like in my bio on Instagram too. So yeah, thank you for watching, guys, and until next time.